Hello, sir. Welcome back to the show once again. I'm happy to have you here. Uh, you know, आज audience, I think we are going to talk about a little bit about aviation. One of our favorite topics. At least मेरा favorite topic है. I'm sure sir has so much background in that from the defense side of things. Ki how things are working in the signals domain and how communications are happening behind the scenes. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the show.
It's my pleasure, and it's great to be back to your show. And I saw some comments and response, and they were quite decent. So it's good that we are connecting back again.
Yes, sir. And one of the great things about our discussion is that we can go into more depth than other channels can afford to do so. So that conversation is always stimulating. Sir, one of the things that I think is of interest to me very recently in the domain that we're talking about. Say airports, hai na, to we see airports may how defense airports are there, and there are civilian airports, and there are also like airports that purely are hybrid also, which means defense and civil both operations are there. So maybe you can help us understand ki, how it works, or kaisa, what is the signals pattern, like kya hota hai, like how is the communication managed.
Okay, I'll just tell you the basic, difference between a, military, airstrip or aerodrome, whatever you say, and a commercial or a civilian aerodrome or a airstrip. So what happens is, as you know, this air industry has come very recently to its prime in India. Otherwise, generally the airstrips were made at remote places for the defense forces. So if you find a quantum of troops are located in a forward area, and you feel that due to op emergencies and shorter transit time of troops to be deployed in an offensive or a defensive operation or in a formation, what you do is you make some airstrips near that formation. So, like say northern sector, say Leh, Srinagar, maybe northeastern sector, you will find that at specific locations, strategically you build these airstrips so that logistics, maybe say in Siachen, at such places you have to airlift the food and other logistic issues. So generally, what happened initially, you find that there are more defense airstrips, if I call it in a layman term, across the country. Now, as the this commercial airline industry picked up, they said ki we like say Bareilly or Hindon is an airport in near New Delhi. Now, due to the congestion in the airports, the DGC and the Civil Aviation Ministry, they started requesting that we wanted to have some specific flights. Because see, the airstrip is built as per the defense or the Air Force aircraft. The commercial aircraft specifications may at many times match to the existing airstrip requirement. So when not in use by Air Force or defense aircraft, it can be given to the commercial aircraft in certain cases. So that is how the slowly, the hybrid operation started. Even in Srinagar, I remember in early 2000s, we used to have these very few selected airlines like Air India or Jet, and they used to have specific chartered flights for the defense forces. So you have the entire plane booked for the defense forces landing in a defense airstrip. Say Leh. Leh was typically a defense airstrip. But as tourism and other activities picked up, uh, DGC and the Ministry of Civil Aviation requested the Ministry of Defense and the other affiliated ministries as we should be allowed to land some commercial civil aircrafts. And slowly those aircrafts became an hybrid this aerodrome or airstrip. Now you'll find at these airstrips, once you get down, it will be clearly written on the boards that no photograph should be taken and no embarkment, or
Mhm.
it's a very
Mhm.
directed and escorted, embarkment to the finally the airport and the lobby in such areas for transit. Slowly, as the those airports increased their flight operations, you started building more airstrips, more runways, and slowly that became like if you see in Delhi, the Palam Airport for the Air Force and aircrafts, and also the Army limited aircrafts, the helicopters and such was already there. And beside Palam, the Indira Gandhi International Airport was built. So what happens is generally in remote and other areas, you have the airstrips already there. defense airstrips there. And slowly, as the traffic increases, tourism increases, the city grows, you have a hybrid operation, and thereafter you may have two separate airports or airstrips, one totally for the defense and one for the commercial aircraft. That is how how the story I've seen growing in my 24 years of service. How some I remember Leh aircraft was like a small bus station when we used to go, very limited charter flights. Now you find so many flights, and even the Srinagar airport, they have improved in size and the number of air passengers which are going, and slowly they start building different sections for commercial and defense. But the primary objective of that airstrip will be for the defense forces. And when there are any operations like North Sindur, then the commercial aircrafts are paused. Their operations are stalled till the time the operations of the military is taken. But if
Even
you see the
sometimes,
security,
wouldn't you say that they're diverted to other places? Like if the flight is in midair,
yes,
they will be
yes,
diverted to
yes,
some other
yes.
location.
So if you see during the Op Sandur, which is recent in the recent memory, you'll find all flights, to Srinagar will be, cancelled. Like I had a flight on 10th to Srinagar, no, for my
Mhm.
personal visit to my unit and other places. But then on 6th, 7th, all those flights got cancelled. So all the civil activities and commercial activities will be stopped. Only the logistics and the important emergency services will be on. So when in such situation, the entire airport and institution will be taken over by defense. Even during operation, you'll find the major highways. That's why these landing exercises are done by Air Force. And MiG-29 or Rafale, they land on the 6 lane, 10 lane, highways, and then because during emergency, if there's a requirement to land on these highways, national highways, that is also practice. So all the airstrips and all those are given to the defense forces. In the same way, the trains which are there during such operations war, you find the entire priority is given to defense rail wagons for movement of troops. So that is what
Right.
happens.
Right, right. So in this case, sir, like when we have this kind of airport. So for example, Pune Airport, famously, like it is a defense airport. We have
Yes,
so many
yes,
of our fighter aircraft station there, which is public knowledge that is there.
yes,
And Actually, I will say I'm privileged. Sometimes I'm able to see them flying over my head also. So I get free air
yes.
show from time to time.
So
So
if there is, yeah, so if there is any FO station like Palam FO station, Pune FO station, even Srinagar FO station, so any FO station, if it's there, they'll have their recce and training sorties going on. So if you're near to the FO station, you'll find the aircrafts going and coming down. So
it's
like in
actually very
Delhi,
fun. Like the aviation geek in me, like, oh wow, and when it passes, oh no, it creates like a sonic boom. Like so, even when your door is closed, sometimes you can feel the window vibrate like anything. Like it's a different thrill.
okay. So I'll just give you my own personal, training memory. I was in National Defense Academy way back in '97 and 2000, where I passed out. So when there is a course pass out, that time Su-30 was the latest aircraft, and there is a quarter deck of INS Delhi on the NDA parade ground, and the cadets passed through the last final step. Antim Pav is through the quarter deck. And when that passing out starts for those 200 to 50 cadets in National Defense Academy, Karakwasla, so Su-30 comes over and takes a vertical Charlie. It goes straight up. So, and it's a huge aircraft with a jet engine, and there are the passing out cadets and the younger cadets who are, say, third or fourth term. So, on that quarter deck, there are ways where you can stand, for the airmen, for the, our cadets who will, just there's a show where all the cadets stand. So, I remember in my second term, I was there on the quarter deck, but during on the mast on both sides, the cadets will be there. And the Su-30 just flies over, the entire mast shakes, and you have to hold on to the rope so that you don't fall. So that
Yes,
is what
yes.
I'm trying to say, the force of a jet engine, and the sonic boom. So I had a personal experience. So many times the practices will go on and you have to, practice. So we got used to it. Now Su-30s, three Su-30s will come and they just go very close to the quarter deck and fly and take a vertical Charlie. That, tactical maneuvering is there. And you can feel I have seen it very close. So I'm sure that you must have understood it
Yes,
or
yeah, of
felt
course,
when
of
it is
course.
yeah.
Like this kind of air show. Like even I had the pleasure when I was in America that time. I got to see the F-16 Thunderbirds. When they literally passed maybe what must be 200 feet over my head. Maybe they were doing very, very low flying.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
on the top of a
yeah.
building already, and maybe 200 feet over my head, like the Thunderbirds passed, and you know,
Mhm.
like I swear I could have seen the pilot looking at us and giving us a thumbs up while he was going. Uh,
Yeah.
all of them were flying together. I even have the video somewhere, so someday I'll play it for you.
I'm
But
sure from the cockpit it is a very small feature, but anyway, you can really
yeah,
feel
no,
when the
it,
aircraft is very close.
it looks like he's doing that for you, because around that area where we were standing, right, it was not like anybody's there.
Mhm.
This is a vacant area. So why he has to fly only above us? He could fly from any other location. No, so he's obviously
No,
spotted us from far.
so a route is predefined that is how we'll go, and because the speeds are too, fast,
Ha.
so there are chances. That's how the Tejas accident unfortunately happened. So the fact is that it is at Mach, sound speed Mach 1 or more than that. So
Right, right.
that is how these things are. But yeah, it is good to experience such air shows.
For sure, for sure. Like, like
Yeah.
that's the one of the few times that like regular person will get to see like F-16s flying on your
Mhm.
head or whatever.
Yes,
Like, because
yes, yes.
normally in India you will not have F-16s, because we don't have that kind of a aircraft. Like, very rarely, maybe when we have like air shows or something like that, maybe then they will come on special invitation, but it is not a common occurrence. So
Okay, even I remember during for people who've not gone to the air show, but who've gone to such hybrid, coming back to a conversation on hybrid airstrips. I remember in Bareilly that our aircraft was supposed to take on from Bareilly. It was a hopping flight, so we stayed in the aircraft, and it's an Air Force station. So the main runway was then being used by a MiG-21 and MiG-29, aircraft. So you could see series of takeoffs of the fighter jets, and your commercial flight is waiting. Once they take off and finish, and then you go. So at times you get an opportunity to, even in a hybrid airstrip, you find that Air Force fighter jets are going on, and you can.
Absolutely, sir. Like, I went to Bareil recently. I was at the airport. It's a very small airport. Like,
Yes,
doesn't
yes.
even look like one. It's literally like one small terminal building, and
It's
you
like
pass through it. Even today, it's a very
IGI
small.
ISBT bus, bus
So
terminal in
it's a
Delhi.
very, very small one. Literally, we got off
Yeah.
on the plane and we walked to the final destination. We didn't even go in the bus. There was no reason for us to go in the bus. We walked to the terminal ourselves. And when we went over there, I was waiting outside. I must have seen three, four,
Fighter jets
military
moving on.
transport
Yeah.
aircraft like fly from there. Like,
No.
amazing. Like, these are like giants of the sky transporting everything at once. Like, uh, it's fantastic.
IL-76,
Yes.
IL-76, and we've got better ones also. Yeah.
Yes,
So this is,
it's
yeah, it's for a civilian, it's good to see military. Fortunately, my first airline, journey was on a IL-76 from
acha.
Srinagar to Chandigarh. So that is, and the seating is only on the sides. It is not like a normal seating, like an
Yes.
aircraft. So it is seating on the side so that the military equipment can come in. So that was what I
Yes.
remember from Srinagar to
It's fantastic. Like, just looking
Chandigarh.
at it, it was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh, it's
So
it's like a jumbo. IL-76 is used, and the new ones, the CJ ones, are really good. They're huge in
yes, sir.
size. Entire two, three
Absolutely,
tanks
absolutely.
can fit in inside. Yeah.
Absolutely. So,
So coming,
about civil airports, right? So, I imagine that even civil airports are designed in such a way that in case of emergency, even a military aircraft can land on them. I think maybe for bigger airports, that's
yes, yes,
definitely something
yes.
that is concerned, right? So, how is it
See,
that like that is designed? Like, what is the mindset when somebody designs that kind of airport?
if you see the MiG, which are the fighter jets, are generally smaller in size. Hence, see, there is a distance of the runway which is required for the size of the aircraft. So the fighters can land, at most of the small strips also. I've seen earlier Leh was a small strip, and even in further stretches, you've got strips where the aircraft can land. And the commercial airlines like IL-76, and they are like our, you know, Airbuses. So the dimension-wise, the requirement may not be much, but we may not get into the technical details. But the standard is airstrip is good enough to land the Air Force aircrafts
Hmm.
and fighter jets. Helicopters is again, it is quite simple. Helipads. So all the defense, airborne, these aircrafts and helicopters. Any civilian aircraft, any civilian airport can be used for.
Yeah, so I think that that's a great part because like you mentioned earlier, like all kinds of civilian infrastructure in times of emergency or war-like situation,
Is yeah,
they
yeah.
are used by military for defensive purposes. So that's
They are
great
given
part.
on priority. Yes, yes. Even
Yes,
the
yes,
roads,
yes,
the highways. I remember
yes.
in Parakram when the attack was there on the parliament and we had been mobilized. The entire train routes from Delhi to Batinda, where I was posted further to the forward areas, were totally given to the army wagons, and rather people came to the stations to give us garland and tilak laga ke, go to the war. I mean that was the friend. That is how the frenzy is in the country. And North India generally they are quite. I'm sure in other parts of the country also they are quite Rather, I remember when we were deployed in a Rajasthan remote village, and the entire village Sarpanch he said the entire village resources are for you, and whatever help we can give because you're fighting a war, and that is how the ecosystem works, and the civilians have to sacrifice a lot. But I remember even the first night we had to eat in the Sarpanch's house because our langas were not on. So that is how life is in the border areas, and they're used to it, and they're quite accommodative because their fields at times when the tanks move and the armored vehicles move, they get destroyed, but they understand and they are duly compensated also most of the times.
Definitely. And then, sir, regards to communication, like
Hmm.
we all know that airports are operated by ATC and other things like that. So is it the same thing for military also? Is there separate ATC for military, or like what is the communication architecture of an airport look like generally?
So see, if there is an Air Force station, the air traffic controller. See, primarily the ground to air communication equipments are same. Rather, the military ground to air communication equipments are more specialized and more, tuned to the military operations. But the basic communication mechanism is same. uh, if there is a big airport, you will have different ATCs, different, because the Air Force and the air traffic, even the air defense and radars integrated will be different. For the commercial aircraft, the requirement is different because the speed of operations, if you see a MiG coming in and a Airbus coming in, the speed, it may be sub-max speed for a commercial aircraft, but for a defense aircraft or an Air Force fighter jet, maybe Mach 1 or Mach 2. So, the complexity changes in ATC or operated by Air Force or Air Defense.
Hmm.
So things will be different. It cannot be the same. It will be different and entire because the security is important and plans are there. So it cannot be the same. But yes, they are segregated.
So I think one of the best things about this kind of discussion is that we get to see or observe the construction of like new airports. Like I think the newest one, which is
Yes.
near to me, like right now, is Navi Mumbai International Airport, which happens to be very
Okay.
very close by. And personally, I'm very excited to see when I can take a flight from there to come to Delhi or some other place like that. It will be fantastic. It looks very very special, because before the airport started and everything, I had the privilege of looking at that site, from the air when there was no restrictions in that place and everything.
Okay.
So just looking at how far it has come and things like that, like it's amazing because you got to see the development. You got to see the site selection, all these different places. Even sir, near Delhi, also they are coming up with on the in the UP side they have Johor International Airport. I think I forget the name.
Jeewar International
Jaywar,
Airport.
Jaywar International
Jeewar.
Airport.
Yeah.
So
That is
that's also
the
supposed to be
Greater
one of
Noida.
the big major hubs next to Delhi that they are making. Jaywar has to be a major airport there
Yes.
for international landings.
So what happens is if you see the Eastern UP, most of the traffic coming from all the air passengers coming from Eastern UP, they have to travel all the way. They have to cross Delhi and come to Gurgaon, which is in Haryana. So Gurgaon Airport, though it is at the border, but effectively you have to cross the entire stretch of Delhi, and a lot of traffic jams are there. Once this gets operational, and this will be quite big in the size and the number of operations, you'll find the traffic will be distributed, and hence the load on IGI T1, T2, T3 will be less. So yeah, that will be a beneficial thing. Anyway, coming back to communications and the new airports, and last time, if you remember, we discussed 5G, right? So you'll
Yes,
be
sir.
surprised to know that 5G towers are not supposed to be near any airport in the world. Are you aware of
Yes,
this?
Yeah, yes, sir. So, like, I actually had this experience where, remember, we were saying that okay, 5G, there is a very nearby access point with the very very high frequency band. Maybe it is possible because I had the experience where whenever I go to the airport, maybe if I am sitting away from the window or somewhere, maybe I can catch a 5G signal. But most of the times, it will be on
You
4G.
will not
I,
get a 5G signal. Yes, the reason why anybody
uh,
sitting in a plane outside, not inside the airport terminal, outside will never get a 5G signal because there is no 5G tower around. So there's an
yes.
exclusion zone created. Now the all that happened because in when 2022, when 5G was launched, the 5G frequency band, the mid band, 3400 or 3.4 to 3.6 gigahertz, is very near to the radio altimeter of all these commercial aircrafts, which is around 4.1 gigahertz or 3.9 gigahertz. So there is an old generation of radio altimeters, RA2, that is how they call, and that is very close to the operation. So the frequency band is adjacent. So here 5G works and just adjacent to this is the radio altimeters. Now there was a fear by the Director General of Civil Aviation all around the world also. They, I think in US when it 5G was launched, they stopped the flight operations because they were not convinced. Uh, and in India also, from Bharti Airtel, I used to go to the Department of Telecom and DGCA used to represent. They said if there is an interference when the flight lands, okay, and if your 5G towers interferes with the radio altimeter, so that means it is affecting the calculation of altitude of the aircraft. And in that case, it may happen that due to miscalculation, the aircraft can crash.
Mm-hmm.
So the point from DGCA was we used to say no, we have enough guard band so that there will be no spurious signals entering your band. So there is say 3.9 to 4.2. If I'm for an example, if I say is the radio altimeter frequency band of operation, there's a center frequency and both the sides you've got some spread. So the filter should not take any signal from 5G. By the chance, it takes the signal from the 5G and altimeter is working on very accurate distances of height, right, of the aircraft. As the aircraft slows down and comes near the runway, and then it has to land. All the time, in real time, it is calculating, measuring the altitude in which it is, how far it is, or how, and all these are very complex systems and automatic systems. So they said we will ban any 5G transmission all around the airport. So you'll find within at least 2-3 kilometers there'll be no 5G base stations. So you'll have no 5G
Mm-hmm.
signals outside. And
Mm-hmm.
the point is, when will it happen? Is they are upgrading the entire globally of the radio altimeters of all these aircrafts from RA2 to RA4, and then is the time and RA4 basically operates much higher. So the gap between the 5G and the radio altimeter frequencies will be broader, and then you'll find the 5G towers can be allowed. So the tower near the airport only has 4G base station; it doesn't have 5G base station. So 5G base station. So this is another thing people may be not aware, but through fiber optic communication cables, we can have indoor 5G connection. So within when in your where you board the gate inside the gates inside the terminals, you will find 5G signals like a Wi-Fi signal, which is not emanated
Mm-hmm.
outside the building. That is as an in-building solution that has been allowed by DGCA on trial basis, and there are ways we are performing. But
Hmm.
5G in mid-band specifically, 3.4 is not allowed. But I'll tell you one other way which Bharti Airtel and even at least Bharti Airtel was doing it. Uh, 5G can operate in any frequency. So even at
Yes.
lower frequencies, 1800, no 900, they were operating 5G. So though the traffic and throughput, the performance may be lower, but you can have 5G signals. So
So
that is
what
another
about
way. So
the
mid band is
what about the high band? So we have talked about low band, we have talked about mid band. Mid band is not allowed.
hmm,
We discussed in that area. What about the high
hmm.
band? So like, are we deploying high band communications in India?
So
Like,
high band, the next allocated frequency is in millimeter waves, 26 gigahertz.
hmm,
As you go higher in frequency, as we discussed last time, there's a lot of attenuation and the range of the signal goes down drastically. So you'll not have such huge coverage of 3-4 kilometers, diameter or circle. So you'll have a very small cell size.
hmm.
Hence,
So
millimeter wave is not considered for good for outdoors as of now worldwide.
so that's why I was asking, like, for crowded place like airport, why not have that millimeter wave deployment? Because
No,
I'm saying
inside it
my
is allowed, right?
huh.
Inside it is allowed. Inside it is allowed. Trials are going on. Mid band is only not allowed because it is very close to the radio altimeter frequency.
Hmm, 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 hmm.
Otherwise, in lower bands, L band and S band, which is less than 1 gigahertz and less than 2 gigahertz, even 2300, it is allowed. So they are operating 5G in these bands. Okay.
Okay. I think that then that's pretty good, right? We are upgrading our tech stack this way. So then
Yes.
from the aviation side of things, like for example, a lot of things we hear about, all the issues that we are facing recently. Indigo had a problem and all these things. Like I heard that there was
Yeah.
some problem regarding pilot issues and some DGC rules. Like without even getting into the specifics of it, like I find it like very very difficult. Like how come we came to a situation that a company decides, allegedly, that they decided or they didn't decide, that they didn't want to, or they wanted to go ahead with this order or not staff enough. Something went wrong. Like essentially, I'm trying to say something went wrong in the entire scheduling thing, due to which pilots didn't land up, and many, even the other airlines who had staff, but maybe they couldn't come. So what was the situation like? This never happens like in most of the times. But why this, according to you, this may have happened?
So see, I don't find any technical reason for such, operations not working. But what even in the open media, what you have also read and I've also understood that generally these airlines have a monopoly of sorts. Like Indigo is doing very well. It was a market leader, and it has the maximum number of operations in the country. Now, if DGCA gives because there were crashes and all these investigations reveal the cause of the accident, and they find that our pilots are overworked. So if they say, okay, there are 48 hours of gap should be there between one sortie to the other sortie, if for the safety of the passengers, if as per the international standards. So what there are two ways to go about it. I think it was given in 2024, as we discussed earlier. So there are two ways of going about it. You accept a decision and you know keep your operations in such a way that you plan well in advance, and when the effect comes in you ensure that there are no disruptions. The other way is you keep resisting it till the end and then try to implement it and try to, display a thing that this cannot be done. And hence the government has to take back those orders. So
Mm-hmm.
again, I think there are very political issues in this. And why, if I ask you one thing, that why it has happened only during the day Putin was in Delhi, right?
Yes,
Very
like
similar
there
to
can be so many
right.
things. In fact,
Yeah.
sir, like you mentioned that it also happens that Putin landed in Palam Airport, for of all places. He didn't land at
Yes.
IGI. He
Yes.
didn't land at any other place.
No,
Uh,
no. All the military or heads
mm,
of state, even prime minister, they land at the Palam airport. They'll never land at the commercial airport because in
mm,
Delhi, the Palam airport is good enough to handle all VIP aircraft. So the VIP for VIP procedures, the entire procedures and SOPs, standard operating procedures, are totally different. They always land. Even the prime minister, the president, they land at the Palam airport because again, it
mm,
will from the Palam airport through the military area. There's a direct access to the center part of Delhi. If it is given to
mm.
the IGA, then entire traffic will be disrupted. So it is planned and worked accordingly. And even in case of any emergency situations or any attack, there are drills and procedures set which can be easily done in the parliament without affecting the civilian movement.
So,
But what is
and
more important is
yeah,
what is
please go
more
ahead.
important is this disruption happened during a specific period, which looks very politically motivated, or there are maybe certain agencies, outside the country which are trying to, affect. But I think government is going on strong as a punitive action against the airline. So this is
Absolutely.
because
I think
it,
there
it
will be
created a
some.
news. Yeah, I
There
what I
will be
heard
some
there's
support
some
also.
action and
Like the.
see what
Huh.
happened. This cancellation of so many flights, 800 flights across the country, was the news in international media also, right?
Yes.
So Putin is visiting, or the head of Federation of Russia is visiting India, and suddenly there is a news this has happened. Very similar to what happened when Trump visited, if you remember.
Yes.
Suddenly the
Something
for the
happens.
farm law agitation. No, these are planned. It cannot be coincidence. So it is
Yes.
like if everything was peaceful, then people, because the Western world, the US and the UK and the Europeans were totally glued into, Putin's visit. And if you see, I think I read in the newspaper that it was the most tracked airline in the world that day. So many people were tracking Putin's airline. So,
Absolutely.
you have
Even
these
I was looking at it,
apps
sir.
which,
Right? Even I was
yes,
looking
yes,
at it. Flight Radar 24. I was seeing like where
yeah.
that is and everything.
So security drills are at the highest, and even whenever such head of state comes in, the Air Force fighter jets escort the plane to the because the plane is more vulnerable when it is near the ground. Okay, you
Sir,
can have some
I saw.
turbulence.
I think there were Sukhois who were escorting the Russian plane.
Yes, yes, yes,
Like
yes.
very very. You can say.
Because
Uh,
Sukhois are capable with BrahMos and other missiles, the capabilities are quite strong. So, in case there is an adversary or attack on the plane, so over the air you're escorting it. Escorting doesn't mean as a ceremonial way. Escorting it from the airstrike point of
Security.
view that you are giving air cover.
Yes.
From the
Like
you're
I'm
loaded with
also
all the
saying that.
armaments.
I'm also saying that it is very fitting. I was going to say that it is also Sukhoi
Yeah,
like covering
so
the.
that though it looks that VIP culture, look, but the aim is not to show off. Aim is to ensure that the VIP, who is such an important, figure in the world politics, is escorted safely. Because if anything happens, so he's our guest, and otherwise it will be great news that Putin's aircraft was some missile from Afghanistan, or say Pakistan was, targeted at the aircraft while it is landing. So when it is coming to near to the earth, it is more vulnerable. So hence you have to give the security
Yes,
cover
yes.
in terms of air
And
security.
with respect to Pakistan, I saw some memes. People were sharing that some lady from Pakistan was saying, "Oh, Putin is going from above. He's whistling at us, but he is not landing."
I saw that podcast. I
so,
watched that podcast. I'm aware of this.
so
So that
I
is,
saw the
you
clip.
know,
I was hilarious.
yeah, there, so as Major Gaurav Arya and other people say, the Punjabis from Pakistan, they can't be taken seriously. They are
Yeah, but
always
I'm
ki
just
kuch
saying,
sajish
at the
hai.
very least, it is good entertainment. Like I had a good laugh.
Oh, Pakistan channels have all entertainment. You watch them, they're full of entertainment. They have always
Yes.
some Sajish, Rocky Sajish, Afghanistan, anywhere it is always Rocky Sajish and this, that. And they'll always say, why Putin is, I saw some channels there. So they'll say, ki, why Putin has to come to India only? Why doesn't they visit Pakistan? And why?
Yes.
Our relations go way back. Our relations with Russia are, going, decades. Okay.
They will
So it is a
say
different
India
thing.
India ki sajish. They will say.
And you'll be surprised to know the Russian language. The words are very similar to Sanskrit words, and
Yes.
they say that civilization wise we were to connect because they speak the same accent, and the words, many of the words are in as we are there in Sanskrit.
I
Even the civilization issues are also, we are quite linked to Russia in that.
Yes, and sir, even there was a hashtag trending even by the official Russian handles as well, where they were talking about Druzhba Dosti. Druzhba also means
Uh,
friendship, and same in Hindi
yes,
it means Dosti. So, like that was the trending hashtag for a very long time while Putin was here.
and you will be happy to know that Russia today, like India today, we what Russia today is going to set up its TV broadcasting and such issues, which
They
is
have
again a
started,
good
sir.
thing. Yeah, yeah, they have started. Mm.
In fact, they had Putin in the studio launch everything live
Okay,
for them. So, it is a clip
okay.
where he says,
And
"Please
and
start
this was
everything."
also very good that the a lady journalist from India today asked that, and they went just few hours before he took off for India, and they had this 1 hour interview, which is I think trending, and Putin
Absolutely.
has
So,
given
and then
straightforward answers.
in that, they discussed about Su-57. They discussed in that same
Hmm.
interview. They talked about the S-400, like more squadrons that they are saying, or you can more units
Yes,
that they want to get of S-400, and then they're
yes,
saying that they also want to get S-500, which is advanced version of
yes.
S-400. So,
So,
what is that
so
all
these
about,
are
sir?
called regiments. Yes. So, see, S-400, you can say is the one of the best, uh, air defense, equipment, if I say defense equipment in the world. And you'll be surprised to know even China, which is a close friend of Russia, doesn't have S-400s. It has S-300s. India has been given the advantage, or because of our old good relation. Because Russia, China, though they have a relation which looks quite amicable, but they have their border issues also. Because China claims every part of other country. In Russia also, it claims some of the portions of Russia's territory. So even Russia is vary. So S-400 has been given to India. China doesn't have it. Pakistan ka to, there's no sawal. But S-500 is where we are upgrading. We're buying more regiments because what we feel that aim of our government is that we create a shield, across the entire territory of the country. So we earlier I think had 2 or 3 regiments of S-400, and now we are getting 3, 4 more, and further we are planning to get S-500.
Hmm.
And
So
see,
yeah, go ahead.
so
Yeah,
what
please
I
go
was
ahead.
saying is, see, S-400 has augmented our air defense. So our air defense was not always dependent on S-400. If you see in Ops and Loot, none of their aircrafts could enter airspace, none of their missiles. PL-15 very near to where I stay in Gurgaon, and his R. That is where the PL-15 missile was, dropped or it stopped functioning. So there is a from our borders till our so there is something called network centric warfare. So what happens that all the radars across the entire territory of the country, they keep sensing and they have got ranges where they can identify an aircraft. So they keep sensing these aircrafts and they keep giving the signal to the control system, control headquarters, and these control headquarters again integrated to the shooters like air defense, entire
Hmm.
batteries and regiments. The regiments will have batteries. Hence,
Hmm.
what happens is the S-400s, or if you see our Akash systems, our earlier, Russian systems, they are all integrated in layers. So if the radars also are in layers. So one layer of radar will be near the border. Then if it misses, the second layer with a higher range will be behind. So there will layers of sensors, which are radars in this case, all are integrated together. And then there are layers of shooters also systems like Akash will be there. Our S-400s will be there. Our earlier systems will be there. SU systems will be there. They all will be integrated. And this sensor to the integrated headquarters where a decision is taken and the decision is given to launch this shooting to stop that enemy aircraft is called what we call as a network centric warfare. So your sensor to shooter and the time taken to sense an enemy aircraft, take a decision at the headquarters, and shoot the necessary, missile to stop it is what
Hmm.
is true real-time network centric
So,
operations.
sir, in that, what is the spoofing? And like we heard about different types of spoofing. Also, we heard about GPS spoofing. We've heard about like
No,
maybe like different kind of spoofing. So maybe you can help us understand.
so spoofing is a different term. Here, what happens is something which is called as electronic warfare. See, radar is an electronic device. What it does, it generates a pulse. It sends it forward. That pulse, electronic pulse, will strike an object and come back. So I send a pulse. I know the time. It gets reflected by the object and comes back. The time it takes to come back, and I know the speed. So speed is equal to distance by time. I'll calculate what is the distance of the aircraft. So these are electronic pulses, right? So everything is an electronic operation. So these pulses go and you come back and then you decide what time and then you keep tracking it in real time. Continuously pulses are sent and you know that okay, object is coming close to me, right? That is how it happens even in ships also. So these sonars, radar, they operate on the same principle. Now, what if I know that even enemy has their radars? When I fly, they'll keep tracking me. So if I know the frequency at which these radars are operating, right? So he's sending a pulse. What if in the receiving side he gets hundreds of pulses and he doesn't know which pulse was mine? So actually,
Mm-hmm.
I've jammed his equipment. This is called as electronic warfare. So what I do is in the same frequency, I suddenly keep transmitting while I jam the entire system. This is called as jamming. So I jam the entire frequency of operation during that time, and he is not able to operate. So that radar will never come to know when the so his pulse will be mixed in my big jam pulse. So this is called as this is electronic warfare. So jamming is also spot jamming, barrage jamming, frequency selective. I can do frequency selective jamming, but these jammings are done only for specific durations. You cannot jam all the time. So what you do, a very high power electronic equipment will be transmitting towards that radar because you know that his radar is at certain locations and you should know what frequency it is operating. In the same frequency, it is something like just remember our old TV station. Na? We used to have
Hmm.
those Yagi antennas, and from the tower, the signal used to come. I used to tune the
Basically, they
frequency,
were
right?
like shortwave antennas
Yeah.
that were
So,
put there.
I remember that we were in Calcutta when we were young, and Bangladesh used to transmit the signal. So if my antenna is receiving a stronger signal from Bangladesh, I'll not be able to see Doordarshan. I'm giving a very layman's example. What I'm trying to say, if the other signal is overpowering your signal or is working in the same frequency, you're interfering with the signal. Hence, the normal operation. This is called an electronic warfare. There are electronic countermeasures also to, so there are ways where I can come out of it. There are various mechanisms. Okay, so I can spread the signal. I can. So there are mechanisms through which spreading and such things happen. Okay, so code division, multiple access. There are various mechanisms. So, but again, it's a cat and mouse game. So this is called an electronic warfare. Even I can jam the tactical communication of the enemy if I know which band of frequency it is there for certain duration during the operations.
Right,
Spoofing
right,
is a different. Spoofing is a different thing. Spoofing is I'm trying to fool you that you are getting some other signal, you think it is my signal. So, like what happened in Delhi IGA airport is that the GPS spoofing was done, which we fleetingly discussed in the last podcast. So, what happens there is, see, the GPS location is given through a satellite, and each 5G or 4G tower connects to the satellite or through common equipment to get the GPS location. And my phone, whichever phone I'm using, through the nearest towers, every tower has a GPS location, and through the triangulation method, generally you know what is your exact GPS location. Even for the aircrafts, they do this GPS location through the satellites. What if the aircrafts which are coming, the towers or the locations from which it is getting the GPS signal, instead of that signal, I put another tower or equipment nearby the airport and transmit a higher signal than the original signal. So it will absorb, it will start receiving my signal because I'm overpowering the original signal. So my spoof signal will be taken by the aircraft as the correct signal. And in the spoof signal, I will disorient the location, the lat long of the location. I'll give a wrong lat long. So an aircraft which is flying over Delhi will assume that I'm flying over Chandigarh or I'm flying over Pakistan. So which
hmm.
which is again a very dangerous thing to happen.
Hmm,
So
hmm, hmm,
these
hmm,
are
hmm.
again operations. You can say these are electronic warfare operations. I should not say
So,
cyber.
sir, the
Hmm.
more pressing or worrying issue for most people will be how come in the middle of Delhi in
Yes.
IGI airport that this is happening? Because normally, from what I understand, is it is not so easy to transmit the signal from a very great distance because this in L1 band, which most civilian GNSS signals operate, it is
Hmm.
in gigahertz frequency. So it's not
Yes.
like you can transmit very easily for very long distance without much power, meaning somebody has the technical skill and
Yes.
some kind of thing to disrupt this.
So what everybody does is, if you are planning such a this is called a sabotage operation, right? That you want to sabotage the operational capability of a specific airport. So the planning occurs much before, in months or maybe a year ago, and you keep knowing what are the equipments which are being used by the airport to get the GPS signal or GNSS. All these operations, what are the equipment, what type? So you try and recreate the same system without, so there has to be people in hand in this. So इसको कहते हैं ना किले के दरवाजे भीतर से खुलते हैं, you always if
Yes.
there is a killa, as many killas are there in Pune, I know. So obviously there has to be somebody from inside
Yes.
who has to give you the information. If I have to sabotage or temporarily disable your network, I should know the configuration of your network. Once I know the configuration of network, I'll recreate another network similar to your network, and
Yes.
I'll take your operations control by my simulated network.
Yes. And sir, like if we are saying like this is the case, like you know who, like what kind of person is capable of doing this to the extent where you find that this is a big problem? Because you know like I know personally that building such a device is like relatively complicated. It's not a task for
No,
somebody who
so
is
these are not okay. These are not specific, customized equipments. These are uh, the general, communication equipments which are available everywhere. I should know
Okay.
what type of communication equipment you are using. If I just put two modes, ISI or the Chinese, PLA army, they put two modes in our same IGI port functioning, the communication part, and they just extract some information from there. And they know, okay, this is how they operate. He gives all the configuration of equipment. See, equipments are already available. What configuration, what frequency, what is the mechanism you're using? He has to just tell that. And these equipments are not military equipments. These are commercial equipments which are used in heavy air traffic control.
It's a
Okay, and
civilian thing.
civilian equipment. So hence, even in military it can be done, but it is very difficult. But in this case, in commercial operations, these equipments are there available online and off the shelf anywhere. But what is important is you should know the configuration in which the airport was working on. And I'll recreate the same configuration at my place, which is co-located with the airport. And I try
Mm-hmm.
and sabotage, and that can be done for certain duration of time. But I've read some conspiracy theory that this was done by IB also. There can be a case where we are only testing, the efficacy of our security parameters. So there's so many things, going on. But what is there, that there was some sabotage of geolocation signals or GPS signals. Uh,
Right, right. And this
which
is
happened.
not just in Delhi, sir, but this was, I heard, near Pune airport and other airport, Jaipur also. When I was, I think when we were traveling for Jaipur dialogues itself, around that time, after that, sometime this news had come out. So
Yes, yes. But in my understanding, if there is an attack, like an electronic warfare attack, it cannot be there simultaneously at multiple locations.
right.
It will be concentrated on one location to sabotage some operations. Like you heard long before, there was this electric grid, power grid of certain state was totally sabotaged. So that is a cyber attack. I just put some malware in your software which operates the control of this the power distribution system, PGCL or such transmission systems. And for certain duration, I may attack certain state. But to do this electronic, but for electronic warfare, the cyber attack, what you do is through IP packets. I ensure that certain trojans or viruses will be there inside and they activate certain time. But the electronic warfare can only happen for a certain geographical location.
So this is
So
why, sir, I
again,
was coming to that thing where, like, how come they are, like, if we are talking they, like, whoever has done it,
yes,
like, when this has taken
yeah.
significant planning and understanding that, okay, if you are going to deploy some kind of a sabotage like this in multiple places, this is not somebody that decide one day, okay,
I,
I'm going to go and
I
sabotage.
What I remember is, since this has happened some time ago, I think the automatic landing, I think you say automatic landing gear or something which does not
ILS,
depend on
automatic land
ILS. Yes,
system.
that was being upgraded. So there was some maintenance work that day, and they had to depend on GPS. So it was planned in such a way that even through the automatic landing softwares and systems, the aircraft cannot, they have to depend on GPS. So I think they you get an information that this upgrade will happen, and during that upgrade time you attack the weakest vulnerable
Yes.
configuration. So this is the new norm of the world. And India being a rising power, so it is not a superpower, but it's a major power. And
Yes, sir.
in Asia, it is third. So USA is first, most influential. Second is China, and third is India. So there are forces which want to, powers which want to curb or create problems in the country.
Absolutely, sir. Like, I saw this explanation about what you're saying in, I saw this podcast by Raj Samani where he had
Hmm.
interviewed one individual who is former CIA. So he was mentioning like
Yes,
what kind of
I saw
operations
that.
they're
Yeah.
running.
Yes.
So this
So the see,
generally,
it is
huh,
it is a common sense. See, if your country is doing well, right, it is a bright spot in economy everywhere. I have to attack your vulnerabilities and show that, see, you are still not good enough and there are flaws in your system. And those flaws should be activated when you are at the weakest or when there is some important VIP visit. Or so there are, Josh Soros, you keep hearing such things that, uh, they are spending a lot of money. He's openly said, I'm spending so much $1 billion to, affect your economy or change your government. So things are there. And these things will rise in 2026 and 27. These will keep on rising. So our common citizens should understand that they should have faith in our own people and own government. Then what these forces are trying to, have more, doubt about your government, which are your own people, right? Better it is. We always keep listening to Goras what they say. What is more important? We should have more faith in our brown people.
Yeah,
That is
exactly.
what.
Like, I've noticed people in India will accept when analysis comes from
Yeah.
foreigner, but they will not accept analysis when it comes from Indian person.
See, I being a PhD from IIT, MTech from IIT, if I say something, I've seen forums where, I being more qualified and talking a very technical thing, and there is a Gora who's coming in who may be just a BTech, but since he's a Gora and he's saying something, people will have more faith in it. I've seen that in the ministry also. So this, because of the colonial era, we have this mindset, but we should start having more faith in our system. See, our
Absolutely.
finance ministry is doing a great job. Our foreign ministry is doing a great job. All this recession which is happening in other countries, we are doing quite well. I don't know why people still start doubting, and we have really moved on to a better economy. $4 trillion economy, so third or fourth in the world now. So that is how we should have more, and these actions will be created so that we have a civil war-like situation in the country, and we start doubting the government. We start. I've seen Gen Zs talking all these WhatsApp and podcast they hear, which may be not true, and they start doubting
Mhm.
the institutions, which is not the right way to go ahead.
Yeah, I think from the point of view of people, I think it is okay to have a healthy skepticism, but not to the point where it becomes mistrust. Because, as a citizen, you must be willing to keep your mind open while not trying to say, okay, everything that somebody does is wrong. It cannot be that way. You know, we
See,
like,
you can be critical of the policy of the
yes,
state or the government, but you cannot be against the state. You cannot be,
exactly, exactly,
anti-national. You're tending
exactly.
towards anti-national because you're benefiting the adversary who wants to pin you down when you're growing up.
Exactly, exactly. So it is okay to like, in my opinion as well. It is perfectly
Criticize.
all right and encouraged to criticize specific policies which you think that are not okay or you feel that can be changed, and that's a perfectly fair thing to have because that's how we participate in the world's largest democracy. So, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah, and 1.4 billion people we are, and I think the greatest strength that is what we have. And no, we are the biggest market. We are the only country who can consume our own economy, production here. So we've got great strength and great progress which can happen. Only if we stay together and we have faith in our system, and we improve our system. We don't be critical and against our system. That is what the youth and the Gen Z should be looking at.
Absolutely, sir. And I think the audience will, take your advice. However many people are watching us or will watch us, will be in that situation. So, but
Yeah,
I'm just glad to have you here today. Like, we spent a lot of time discussing about different things, and I'm sure we'll do
yeah,
this again in the future. So,
yeah.
thank you, sir, for coming onto the show. You have any closing remarks?
No, it's great, and I think we should take these regular topics and more from a explanation from a technical or a communication point of view, and it should be not too technical also, so that the common man understands how these things are happening and what's behind it. This will be more interesting, episodes ahead.
Definitely, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, nice being part of your podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.